So, Vince, let's talk pass game.
Please.
Let's talk the Notre Dame pass offense against the Notre Dame pass defense against the Wisconsin pass offense.
Right.
This is an area where Wisconsin has not been very good so far this year. Their numbers compared to where they were in 2019 throwing the ball, for example, significantly worse. They are averaging right now through 2 games 6.2 yards per pass attempt. They went for 8.3 against Eastern Michigan, but they only passed for 166 yards. They completed 16 of 20 passes for 166 yards. They have yet to throw a touchdown pass this season, which I found very interesting.
Yeah, no kidding. They tried. They got picked off.
Right. And that's the thing. They've thrown 3 interceptions so far this year. Of course, 2 of them were in the red zone against Penn State. So, to me, this is an area where you say, okay, are you good enough in the perimeter to play more man coverage, which then allows you to put more resources towards the run? That's the question. Can you man? Because I think at Rover they're good enough to kind of open up and run with the tight ends. I think Drew White showed he can run with a pretty good. I mean, Notre Dame played a pretty good tight end last week too, and they held him in check. Cam McDonald from Florida State's a pretty good tight end. He didn't do anything against Notre Dame. They've played tight ends pretty well so far this year for the most part.
Agreed. Yeah, tight ends haven't hurt.
And Jake Ferguson's to me the guy I'm most concerned about with this offense because I think he's kind of more of a chain mover. Now they have not been able to get him really going this year. He's got 12 catches in 2 games, which seems great, but he's got those 12 catches have gone for 69 yards.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. So they've got to find a way to stretch the field, and Graham Mertz has not been really a willing downfield thrower this weekend. So,
sorry, I had to put that up there. It's funny.
Bye.
They're just joking. But I thought it was funny. Hey, we're picking Wisconsin in the run game.
Yeah,
all right? Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, with that kind of take, peace out, right? This is just when you look at this Wisconsin pass offense, they don't have a Quintez Cephas. They don't have some of the pass game weapons they've had in the past. I think of Troy Fumagalli, who I thought was tight end, was a real good pass catcher. They had Jazz Peavy a few years ago. Alex Erickson was a really good wide receiver back in the day. Jared Abbrederis, remember him, the kid that played with Russell Wilson back in the day. Like they had Nick Toon. That combination they had in 2011 with Abbrederis and Nick Toon was really good.
I remember Toon.
They don't have those weapons, with all due respect to Kendrick Pryor and Danny Davis. They're nice, solid possession players. That's it. That's where Notre Dame, to me, has the big advantage, which now puts a lot of pressure on Cam Hart and Clarence Lewis to be on their game.
Absolutely.
We need to, I'm saying this from a defensive coach to the defensive player standpoint. We need you guys to take those outside receivers out of the game. We need you to play man. We need you to beat them in the run game. We need you to not be getting stalk blocked on the outside. We need you to be able to take away the play action game. We need you to be able to run with these guys and not be grabby, not give them free 15 yards because you're not trusting your technique. I think they're capable of doing it. I mean, I do. I think that Clarence Lewis and Cam Hart are capable of locking these guys down. If they can do that, now you can really get creative with how you attack the run game.
Exactly.
And because now you can really at times attack with 9. If you want to play some really aggressive robber stuff where your corners are playing the post and taking that stuff away, you've got a guy like Kyle Hamilton who's athletic enough to peel with a tight end on play action, right? That's where I think Notre Dame could have an edge. But it's gonna come down to 2 relatively inexperienced players playing to their full potential. If they do that, I think they can shut down the Wisconsin pass game, which has been I think mediocre would be kind.
Yeah.
Again, that's just 2 games,
right?
I mean, that's just 2 games, but that's what we're going off of right now.
Right.
And they weren't that much better last year, Vince.
Right.
I mean, Wisconsin's pass offense last year was pretty bad. They averaged 6.3 yards per attempt, and they averaged 10.2 yards per completion last year. That's not good.
I mean, that's my defensive game plan. is I'm putting it on the corners. Like, guys, this is where you earn your scholarship. Like, I have faith in you guys that you can lock these guys down so I can do other things. I'm saying I as the defensive coordinator, so I can do other things with everybody else. And I am pretty much assigning Kyle Hamilton to the tight end and making sure that guy doesn't beat me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's playing center field through the tight end is what I would have him do in this
That's
game.
exactly right. And good luck is what I would say. Right. You know what I mean? That's my game plan. And then I'm going to do all kinds of fun stuff with everybody else to stop the run. Because I do think Clarence Lewis, Cam Hart, even, you're going to get Tariq Bracy involved. If you get Ramon Henderson, okay, fine. But it's the top two guys that I'm leaning on big time. And this is where they're going to be on an island. And we're going to see what they've got. And I think they're up to the challenge. I really, really do. I think this is going to be a big challenge for them, but they're going to be up to the challenge. And, you can switch things up later on when Wisconsin is forced to pass, when Notre Dame has a lead. But to start things off, good luck. You know what I mean? That's how I'm approaching this game. And I think Notre Dame has the horses to do it. I really do.
And I want to address this. Kenny Moore says, hopefully Notre Dame sticks Kyle Hamilton up close to the line of scrimmage again. He was disruptive there last week. He was disruptive there last week because that's where you needed him against the Purdue offense, because Purdue was such a screen run-heavy team. I would not say that they'd be wrong to do that again this week, but sometimes you have to be able to say, hey, look, this is a game where we're not going to have Kyle closer to the ball because we think he can take away a part of their game.
That could hurt us.
Right, because Kyle being close to the ball last week took away what Purdue did best, which was the quick game, the screen game, things like that. This week, I feel like you could use Kyle to take away your run, but that makes you more vulnerable because you've got a 6'5" tight end and Jake Ferguson, who's now going to be, attacking down the field on play actions against a 5'11" safety in Houston Griffith or a 6-foot safety and DJ Brown, right?
Right. That's why that's where Kyle Hamilton's size is to your benefit, because he can match up with the tight end just fine.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean you don't ever put him down there. I just feel like this might be a game where having him in center field and just saying, hey, we're going to take away your play action game, because that would allow Notre Dame to really get aggressive attacking near the line of scrimmage. And so we'll see if he does that or not.
Sure.
But again, I don't think Kenny's wrong in thinking, gee, I want Kyle Hamilton close to the ball. I don't think that's ever a bad game plan to say, hey, let's put our best player near the ball.
And I don't mind them moving him around a little bit.
Right.
But I think primarily he needs to make sure the tight end doesn't hurt Notre Dame.
Yes. Now, that's how I would do it. And now to this question from Michael, there isn't one.
Right. That was going to be my answer too.
Danny Davis, Kendrick Pryor, they're nice players, but they're chain mover, possession type of guys. Right. None of them scare you. The only thing that scares me about the Wisconsin pass game is Notre Dame playing unsound and making mistakes. That's the only thing that concerns me. Or being undisciplined, and you're supposed to cover the tight end, you don't cover him, and you let a guy loose, right?
Yeah.
Mistakes by Notre Dame are the only thing that concerned me in the pass game, because you could look at Wisconsin's pass offense, Vince, and say, hey, look, they've only played 2 games. They kind of beat Eastern Michigan convincingly. They didn't really throw the ball much in the second half. Penn State's got a pretty good defense. They only threw for 185 yards that game. Well, hey, this is what their pass game looked like last year too. Everybody made this big deal about how great Graham Mertz looked in the opener against Illinois. He went 20 of 21 for 248 yards and 5 touchdowns. Well, since that time, his numbers have been pretty bad. So since that opening game, his first ever start, he had 5 touchdowns. He's thrown 4 interceptions. He's thrown 4 touchdowns in, 8 games. So 4 touchdown passes in 8 games, and he's thrown 7 interceptions. He's had completion percentages of 54.5, 56.1, 58.2, 52.6, 60%, 64.7, 59.5 for 5 yards attempt, and then 82.4 against Eastern Michigan in a game where he threw for 141 yards. So it was that whole 14 of 17 for 141 yards. It was a ton of quick game. There weren't really any shots. So to me, this is how their pass game has been. In his last 5 starts, Graham Mertz has yet to throw for more than 185 yards passing.
Right.
This isn't what Jack Cohn did. This isn't the Jack Cohn offense, even, much less the Russell Wilson offense. You know what I mean? So at least that's what they haven't been so far. So I think that's where Notre Dame has the advantage is, put those guys down in the box, make them try to take some shots. And then if you force them to take some shots, like I would put numbers in the box and leave Kyle back, because then if you force him to throw the ball further down the field, he's not overly decisive. He throws late a lot. He's still a young kid, which is kind of why that is. And a quarterback throwing late down the field with Kyle Hamilton playing center field is going to have some problems. Right. And so that's why I feel like this would be a game where you could maybe have Kyle playing deep, but you can't let them get cheap plays in the pass game. That's the big thing.
Absolutely. And Alan made a good point there. I just wanted to bring up, even though Kyle Hamilton is playing back, he's playing center field. When he reads run, he can erase a lot of yardage really quickly.
But see, here's the other thing, because so he talks about, like, here's the other thing too, is he is an eraser, and that is why I feel like even more he should be in center field, because if you're committing the resources and playing as aggressively as we think Notre Dame needs to play, if they get through the first level, then there's nobody between the end zone and the running back except your free safety.
Right.
Well, who do you want being that guy? Houston Griffith, DJ Brown, or Kyle Hamilton?
I mean, it's going to be Kyle. Any kind of a question like that, it's going to be Kyle Hamilton every time.
Right. I wasn't concerned about that with Purdue last week.
Right.
I wasn't. I almost I dare Purdue to throw the ball downfield because they couldn't protect the quarterback long enough to do that, as we saw the game play out. So that leads me to the final piece of this, Vince. If Notre Dame can force Wisconsin into some passing situations, that's where I think Notre Dame has the big edge. They are not real athletic on the edge. They're not super long either. Tyler Veach has got some good length, but Logan Bruss is 6'5", but he's not long. He's got pretty short arms. They're neither are great athletes by any stretch of the imagination. If Notre Dame can get them into some situations, whether it be play action or not, and actually sometimes the play action plays into your hands if you're able to have your defensive ends, especially Isaiah Foskey, kind of coming off the edge thinking pass, because the longer it takes to let those things play out, the more opportunity there's for Isaiah Foskey to just take this game over. So those are some things I'm really curious about. And that's another reason it's so important to have the penetration up the middle. Have Jason Adamiola getting in the quarterback's face upside, make him scramble out right into the waiting arms of Foskey and Myron Tungvaloa-Mosa. So that's the pass pro aspect. Notre Dame's been really good at getting after the quarterback. Wisconsin's only given up 3 sacks, but I thought Penn State did a pretty decent job of getting pressure, and I don't think Penn State has the pass rushers that Notre Dame has. So that's another piece to this, is if you can have early down run game success and you can put Wisconsin into some passing situations, that's where I think you can really, really take off, because I think this Notre Dame team can get after it. I mean, look, Penn State had 2 sacks against Wisconsin. In the 2 games since then against Ball State and Auburn, they've had 1 total sack. Right. So I think this is a vulnerable Wisconsin offense to pass pro. The more times Notre Dame can force them to pass, even if it's first down play actions, because they're just not getting a lot of great run game stuff going on early, those are still opportunities to make big plays with Adamiola coming right down your throat and with Isaiah Foskey coming off the edge. I think that's a part of this game that could be really, really important. And especially if you've got, again, I'm going to go back to this, especially if you have Hamilton playing the middle of the field, because when Kyle Hamilton's there, it's like you remember the movie Tombstone? Did you ever see that? One of the greatest movies ever, right?
Yes.
Val Kilmer, one of the best acting jobs ever, playing Doc Holliday. But they're getting ready for the shootout at the OK Corral, right? And Doc Holliday looks at his brother Virgil, and he says, "Hey, give Doc the shotgun." He goes, "They're less likely to get antsy if he's on the what does he call it, the street howitzer, the street cannon, right?" And it's kind of like, okay, you see that guy there with that weapon, and I don't know if I really want to go at that guy. That's kind of the movie scene I think of when I think of Kyle Hamilton playing deep middle. Like, yeah, I'm not sure if I really want to take that shot and take that chance with Kyle Hamilton playing back there. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And any hesitation, any indecisiveness that you get from the quarterback is going to either result in Hamilton making a play or the pass rush making an impact. And that's why I think another reason now, again, Vince, am I going to sit here on Sunday or Saturday night after the show and criticize Marcus Freeman for wanting to get Kyle Hamilton down near the ball? No. Not at all. There's no wrong way to use Kyle Hamilton.
Right, exactly. He's that good.
My personal opinion is in this game, I think that would be a way to utilize him. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out. But in this, the advantage here, Vince, for me is clear. It's
it's not close.
Pass and pass rush, in coverage, in production, in turnovers, all of it. Yeah. I view this as a Notre Dame advantage, in my opinion.
Me too.
Is there any thought at all to Wisconsin having an advantage? I think I think Wisconsin can maybe rip off some big plays if Notre Dame is unsound. I think if Notre Dame plays a clean game, I don't think Wisconsin has a chance to pass the ball very effectively on them.
Yep, I don't completely agree with that. And there's no sense in taking any more time to repeat what you just said because it's just an agreement. I mean, I don't see where Wisconsin is going to be successful against this unless Notre Dame. This is a situation where the only team that can beat Notre Dame is Notre Dame in this regard. In this setup, the only team that can beat Notre Dame is Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. So there you go.